Hello everyone, how are you guys doing today? I want to make another video. While I'm making this sample pack that I'm working on, I realize it's taken me quite a while, and while I'm working on the sample pack, I want to release content as well. So yeah, that's why I'm making this video. I want to go ahead and show you how I made this growl bike noise, I guess you could call it. I don't know, but this is what it sounds like. For this sound, I'm actually going to be using only faceplant. Yeah, the only things I'm not going to be using that aren't inside of faceplant is the glue compressor here. It's kind of like a limiter that I use. And I'm also going to be releasing the preset in my on my website. It's going to be free. You can just download it on the blog post. But yeah, like I said, everything's going to be done inside of faceplant. I don't want to use anything that's outside of faceplant. So all the processing and pretty much all the sound design is going to be inside of faceplant. So everything is in the plugin. So you can just follow along. Yeah, let's do this thing. So the first thing I did here was, of course, open up our handy dandy faceplant. And I'm going to hit new. And the first thing I did was the FM part. I grabbed an analog, and then I made a new group, grabbed another analog generator, and then I FM'd the phase of the first group here. And this second group doesn't have any output. It's just the generator without any noise output. So I'm going to go ahead and FM this. And I'm going to go ahead and also insert a MIDI here and put it at F0 and hit play. I'm going to go ahead and turn the second generator up an octave. Kind of like the way that sounds. So it's at 66, I think, for the phase modulation. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a macro on the phase modulation, so that way I can control how the amount of that of FM that's going on. And this is also kind of going too fast, so I'm just going to extend it out a little bit. Then I'm going to hit configure and configure the macro knob. I'm going to call this FM. There we go. Then I'll right click, show an automation, and do this. Maybe that's still a little bit too fast. I'm going to actually extend it some more. And there we go. I think that's perfect. And then I'm going to rename this E for export. And so yeah, we got our FM table here made inside of faceplant. You can go ahead and even like add some like filters if you'd like, or do some like cool modulation if you want, but for the sake of this video, because I don't want to spend too much time on the sound design of the wavetable, I'm just gonna leave it how it is and keep it simple. And I really like the way that sounds anyways. It sounds pretty good. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and record this and then export it. Alrighty, so we got our wave file here. Also, remember what root note it was at. So F0, that's when you export it, just make sure you put F0. So we're going to go to where we exported our wavetable. Then we're going to go ahead and drag and drop this in here. You can hit convert to wavetable for wavetable generator. And this part might require a little bit of tweaking, because the first time I made it, it didn't sound quite right, even though the root pitch was F0. So let's see how this sounds. That sounds actually pretty good. So if it doesn't sound the way you would want it, you're going to go ahead and mess with the root pitch of the wavetable here. And I'm just going to leave it at F1. I put it at F0. Sounds pretty good. It just sounds like it just like went up an octave pretty much. I'm going to go ahead and just hit F1, because it sounds the closest to that. So yeah, I'm just going to hit done here. Alright, perfect. That is our wavetable. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put an LFO down. And this is going to be controlling, actually I'm going to put that in a new group. This is going to be controlling the frame. So we'll just call this frame. And then we'll put this LFO in this group. And modulate the frame here. We'll turn the LFO modulator to off. And then kind of have that snap to the grid there. And we're going to come back in here and tweak this LFO as well. But yeah. And instead of having it synchronized, I think I'm just going to have it set to free. And I'm going to go ahead and make this kind of shape. Actually, I'm going to turn that off. Right click to make it straight lines. Whoa, I think I like this wavetable better than the last one. And that's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and slow it down a little bit. Alright, so like right around there. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then so we'll just call this group the main FM. And I'm going to go ahead and make another new group and call this layer. And then I'm going to add an analog and put the output as envelope. Also, by the way, you're going to want to have these go to lane 1. And then for lane 1, just for the send to, for lane 1, hit lane 3. So that way it's not going through lane 2 and then lane 3. So it's just lane 1's like its own thing, which we're going to use for like the effects and whatnot. And then we're just going to send everything to lane 3, which is going to be like the final processing of stuff. So yeah, this is the layer. And we're going to go ahead and set it to 7, because that's what I had it on for the original sound. And then we're going to go ahead and adjust the gain volume here. And this part you can even tweak around with the gain. But yeah, I had it set at 30. So yeah, this layer is just going to be adding more harmonics to the main wave, or the main wavetable. Kind of adds this nice little tone to it. And that's actually perfect volume. I don't want it to be too loud because I still want the main focus of a sound to be our main FM table that we made. Alright, so now for the effects. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new group. Call this the FX. And for the effects, I didn't really do too much. You can go ahead and like mess around with whatever effects that you want to put on this thing. But I went ahead and just put like 2 dispersers on it. Because I really like the way like disperse like squishes the sound, or not squish. I should say it smears your sound pretty much at whatever frequency range you have it set to. And I just like the way that sounds. And then I went ahead and added a distortion, and then I had it set to overdrive. And you can kind of mess around with this, like tweak it to however much drive you would like. I think I'm gonna go with like 6, and then turn the mix down to 50, so that way it's not too loud. Maybe even to 30. I'm gonna turn the drive up a little bit, set it to 7. And I'm gonna go ahead and try saturate. And so yeah, a lot of this is just tweaking the knob, so you can go ahead and just mess with the different knobs and kind of just get the sound that you would like. So I like it set to saturate, the drive set to 7, and the mix at 20 here. Makes it a little bit louder. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and add a slice EQ and kind of make this shape with it. So yeah, I have 2 peak filters. I'm going to go ahead and turn the Q up so that way it's not as wide and affecting as many frequencies. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the second peak filter and turn this down as well, maybe even spread it out a little bit. And there we go. And then to modulate this, I'm going to go ahead and just put a new group here, call this Slice EQ. put an LFO and turn the LFO modulator off. Have this kind of shape. It's like a ramp going down here. Then have the offset all the way down. And then turn the modulation into the positive range. So it's kind of going down. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn the rate down a little bit. Like 500. And so yeah, that's pretty much perfect for the FX section. I'm going to go ahead and make another group and just call this the cutoff. And for the cutoff range, I'm going to make a high pass filter here and make the cutoff around 220 hertz. So it gets rid of those sub frequencies. So that way when we add the sub layer, the main sound won't interfere with the sub layer. And I'm even just going to rename this to cut off 220. Alright, so perfect. So we got our main FM and then we got our layer group. I'm going to go ahead and make another new group and call this the sub. And for the subgroup, it's nothing too fancy. Just click on an analog generator, make it a square wave, and then put a filter on it. And for the cutoff, do like 150. And then for the output, put envelope, put, haha. And then set it to lane 3. And voila, that is our sound. And I might just go ahead and adjust the gain a little bit to like maybe -14 here, so it's not too loud. Alright, so we're now at the final processing part of stuff. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a new group and call this just final processing. And by the way, you don't really have to put things in new groups. I just kind of like to do that to keep things organized a little bit, so I know what's going to what. Alright, so for the first thing, I went ahead and added a distortion and put the shape to saturate instead of overdrive. You might want to tweak the drive a little bit, because sometimes it might be a bit too much. Oh yeah. Actually, I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to just turn down the mix so there's not, so it's not so aggressive. Probably like 20. So yeah, add some saturation. So the next effect that I use was the multipass. So multi-band dynamics here. So yeah, instead of adding like a OTT, I kind of just tweaked around with the dynamics and the multipass. And so what I did was for this frequency range, I set it to 4,000. And then our sub, I think, was at 150. So I'm going to go ahead and put 150 for the for this frequency band. And I didn't really mess with the mids, so we're probably just going to leave the mids alone. But then again, it depends on how it sounds. So if I don't like the way it sounds, I might go ahead and mess with the mids. And so I wanted to go ahead and boost the highs. So I'm going to go ahead and solo this band. And maybe set it to around like -25. Put the ratio at 2. It's not too aggressive. And the release, pretty fast release. And the attack, like not too fast, but maybe at like 60%. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the ratio a bit more. So yeah, right around there, like 3.8. And then maybe turn the mix down a little bit. Then for the sub, to kind of bring it out a little bit more, I went ahead and added another dynamics. I'm going to go ahead and solo that. And put the threshold at, like, oh, -10 is good. And also set the ratio to 2. And then, since I don't want to completely squash the sub bass, I still want it to have some life. I'm going to go ahead and set the release to, like, pretty slow. And the attack, like, maybe 130. There we go. Now let's hear what it sounds like. Alright, so that's with. This is without. Might even make the ratio to 3. And I like the way that sounds, so I'm just going to leave that alone. And then, just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and add another dynamics to squish the sound some more. So yeah, I went ahead and set the ratio to 4, and probably put the mix to like 50%. So yeah, I want to show you what it sounds like without the multipass. And then to kind of bring a little bit more life into the sound, this is the sound with multipass. So yeah, I brought out a little bit more of the highs there and the lows with the multipass. Alright, and then the last few effects that we use here are a limiter and a gain. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 5 and see how that sounds. Alright, so that's a little bit too loud. Go ahead and set it to 3. Oh, actually, I did forget to do something inside of the multipass. I'm going to go ahead and grab a stereo effect and set the width to mono, so that way the sub stays in mono. And that is pretty much the sound. And then I guess for the last little thing here, I messed with the bin range, and I did some automation with the pitch wheel here. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit configure. The pitch wheel, show an automation here, and then bring this up. And so it sounds like this. And so yeah, that's the sound. And like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and leave the preset on my blog post on my website. So if you want to go ahead and download that, you can. The link will be in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.